Marriage is for pleasure and not for comfort. If you want a comfortable life, stay single. On the other hand, if you want the pleasure of having a meaningful relationship, get married. Just remember.
To my people, my peeps, welcome. And we have here beautiful, beautiful Tomi A, the lady that talks about one young wife. And she's here to love on us and to share with us her expertise and her advice to all of us out there who are engaged or just married. And we have a little bit of glitch and concern that we are, we think that we need assistance with. Tomi is here to just guide us through and say, listen, don't be fearful, man. It's just a stage of your life that you just have to just delve in and just be optimistic about, you know? And she's going to guide us through that. So Tomi, welcome. A warm Caribbean welcome to you, Tomi A. I appreciate you being here. Thank you. Connecting, from all across the world. Tomi, so tell us a little about yourself and your mission. What is it you do?
Okay, so well, thank you so much, Mitch, for reaching out to me, and this is such an honor. So thank you, I appreciate that. Well, my name is Tomi, and I am the founder and the servant leader behind One Young Wife. One Young Wife is an online community that strives to help young wives in the initial years of their marriages share just their struggles and victories so that we can be better as a person and then as a wife, because you have to be better as a person before you can be anything to anybody, right? We help build intimacy, deepen intimacy with God and with yourself and your partner. We also help build self-confidence and then emotional intelligence, if I can get my words out. Emotional intelligence, just to help you navigate those few years of marriage, because those few years of marriage are always really hard. But for some people, it's not as hard because they've done their own work before they got into marriage. But for me, it was a totally different story. I did not do my own work. I thought I was good. I thought I was ready. And man, marriage gave me, I tell people, marriage laid my floors on the coffee table of my life, and I could not handle it. I could not. I literally just crashed in between all of that. But I am glad I'm still here, and I am still married, obviously. And I started the platform because I wanted a chance to just listen to other young wives and see exactly what they were struggling with. I wanted to see what they're struggling with and how they were resolving it. I remember at some point in my marriage in the initial years, I felt like giving up. I remember one particular night just saying, you know what, it's fine. This is good. I think I am. There's no way I can do this. I don't know how to do this. I know other people succeed as doing it. I am a pretty successful woman at work and in terms of other relationship, but I just could not get. I am that kind of person that would always want to be really excellent at anything I do. And I was trying to, for marriage, I was seeing the big picture, but I was not ready to take the baby steps to get to the big picture. So every day I wake up and I don't see that big picture. I just freak. I'm like, no, this is too hard. I'm just gonna go. I remember one night, I remember one night saying, you know what? My backup plan was I was just because I'm a registered nurse by trade. So I told myself I'll just move to Sudan and be a missionary nurse. That was my backup plan. Like, why Sudan? I don't know. It was just the farthest place I could think about in my head. Let's just move to Sudan and just be a missionary nurse, and I don't have to deal with marriage at all. But I am glad I took all the baby steps I needed. I did not give up, and my spouse actually was also intentional about working on our marriage, so we got better. And I can tell you, marriage is one of the best union you can ever be in, which maybe the very, very, very best actually. You,
Tomi,
you're
you're
doing things.
throwing your words at me. You're telling me go get married, eh? I love that. I love it. I love it. I love it so much. So you mentioned that you are married, right? So how long have you been married?
So I've known my husband for more than 12 years, so it's over a decade now. And we started dating, from dating up until now, it's been more than 8 years.
Wow. Awesome. Awesome. You mentioned that you weren't prepared for marriage life per se, right? But that's just your experience. It is said that after the wedding indeed comes the marriage. Um, Marriage can be easy or hard. What do you think? Is marriage life easy? If you want it to be, you can make it easy. Does it have to be that difficult? Can it be easy?
So I listened to John Maxwell in and out a lot. Growing up, my dad used to be that kind of person that would buy lots of leadership books, and I doubt if he'd ever finished reading one. Don't tell anybody else that. But I remember I was just jumping his bed. It had a whole line, like a whole side of his bed just filled with books. And I'll just grab some of the books and maybe Zig Ziglar or John Maxwell and all those people. But I never, growing up, I never really paid attention to John Maxwell. But recently, being in lots of leadership positions and being a leader now, I am finding lots of value in the legacy that he's trying to leave as a man, of course, which is leadership, anything that has to do with leadership. So I listened to him here and there. Last week, I was listening to one of his podcasts about opportunities and problems. And he said, I have never opened a door of opportunities without having to go through the door of problems first. That was exactly what he said. And that sank in with me because there are times as human, we just like I said earlier on, we see the big picture and we just chase after that big picture, but we're not willing to
Yeah.
take a couple of steps back to figure out how do I get from here to here. What are those things I'm really good at that can help me get from here to here? What are those things I'm not good at that I need to start working on so that when I get here, I'm more prepared for it? For me, marriage is I did a podcast recently and my the question I was asked was endurance or enjoyment. And I think this question has a little bit of similarity to that. I think you have to pay the dues first. For some people in their relationships or in their marriage, they've been friends for forever, they know each other, no problems at all. So the first few years of their marriage is nothing really because they know each other, it's no problem. And for some other people, they're so prepared, they're well grounded emotionally in terms of confidence and self-esteem and all these
Right.
basic things you need to learn as a lady. They have all of that. But for me, I grew up as a typical pastor's daughter. I'm the first of four kids. I'm a pretty good girl in quote. So I remember I literally feel like God owed me a good marriage. Like I am good. I am like perfect. God, I should not struggle in marriage at all. Well, struggle is an overstatement. Going back to
Wow.
your question, the beginning was very, very hard for me because I was not prepared for it. I wish I'd read some of the books that I read in my initial years of marriage. I wish I read those books before I got married. I wish I got a deep reality check as to who I am as Tomi. I wish I did not pretend to myself as much. I wish I evaluated those things I did not know how to do well and intentionally worked on them before getting married because all of that came out in marriage. And for people, rather than for some people, you rather focus on what your husband isn't doing right than focusing on what you're not doing right. I did that and it did not work. So for me, at a point, let me tell you what happened one night. I remember we had a really terrible disagreement, and up until today, I cannot remember the details of that disagreement. It was late in the night, and I remember I got up from the bed and I went to the closet and I wore the robe I wore on my wedding day. And I sat in the closet and just wept. It wasn't cry. It wasn't like I'm crying because I lost something. It was just bitterness from the bottom of my heart. Like I have failed. I am failing. This is never gonna work. I don't know how to do this. And I remember just sitting there saying, God, you've helped me be successful in every areas of my life. And I know I am an exceptional woman. I know outside of my home, I am, I am, I am good. I know how to do life, but I just don't know how to do marriage. And I know you're probably asking, well, you just said your father is a pastor, so you didn't learn marriage from them. My mom and my dad had a really traditional marriage, so it was My dad says yes, my mom says yes. My dad says no, my mom says no. There was really no, like, not a lot of, I didn't see a lot of like, oh, let's do this together. And I didn't want that kind of marriage. I wanted a kind of marriage that would have lots of freedom in it, lots of adventure. And I wanted friendship. Friendship was so important to me because in my parents' marriage, I didn't see a lot of that growing up. I just saw I am the husband, you listen. I'm the husband, you listen. It took my mom a long time to get to a point where she could also stand up and say, I am this, you listen too. And seeing that, I wanted that latter stage of our life, but I didn't know how to go from here to here. So I remember just sitting there that day, just weeping bitterly. And I remember saying, God, I would do anything, literally anything. Just teach me how to be a wife. Teach me how to be an exceptional wife. Teach me how to be a better person so that I can show up every day in my marriage with the best of I can. So even if, God forbid, anything happens and this marriage doesn't work, I would walk out of it a better person. I stopped focusing on what he wasn't doing well. I wanted to be better because if I was better, then I will be able to stand up to those things in a better way without being disrespectful and saying things well or communication wise, sexually, and all those things. Because like I told you, I grew up a very typical fanatical Pentecostal pastor's daughter. So I didn't really learn a whole lot of basics. And I remember getting up from that closet after it felt like a long time. I remember going to bed that night, just asking God. I was broken. I was just, okay, God, you just take it and just help. And I felt a sense of peace just overwhelm me that night. And I remember just sitting there saying, you know what? I am something just dropped in my heart, and I said, you know what? I'm going to start reading books on marriages, on how to be a better person, on marriage, on communication, on how to be a respectful person, how to communicate with your husband, and all those things. And starting from that day, 12 months between that day and the next 12 months, I read 24 books about being married, how to be married, about how to build my own self-esteem and self-confidence and all those things. I read as many as I could lay my hands on. And halfway through that, towards the end of it, I am learning a lot. Even my husband would turn around and say, girl, you should I be afraid? There's something different about you. But I was, even there's some things that I would say to him, and it would look at me and say, are you really sure? Like you're really you're that nice? Okay, okay. He would say something, or I would say something, and I would say, you know what? Oh, I'm sorry, I said it that way. I said it wrong. I should have said that. I started getting better. I started seeing that change, the change in me, and that was how we started getting better as a couple. At the time, it was reading way more marriage books than I was reading. Our marriage went from just constant tipping toes around each other, now being able to have a good conversation, always having something to beck at each other about. Went from just having a blooming and flourishing marriage. So that answers your question. Marriage can be easy, marriage can be hard. You have to do the work. Marriage is not hard work, it is intentional work. It is the work that you're putting in to get this pleasure, it's not comfort. Comfort is the absence of pain, literally, no pain at all, you're comfortable. Sometimes marriage will not make you feel that way. But if you're in a marriage and you're pleasurable, you don't have to entertain each other every day. You don't have to you don't have to walk around eggshells. You're just there and you're intentionally putting the work to make life blissful for you and blissful for your partner. Marriage would work. And now I have to stop here to say this though. There's some marriages that the husband is on a totally different part of the spectrum. You're being cheated on and all these things. You cannot compare apples to oranges. So at that point, I would say you seek a professional counselor's help. Go talk to somebody. Do not do life by yourself and alone. Go talk to somebody if that's your story.
Awesome, awesome. Intentional work. So you have to be determined. And if you need help, seek it. There's no shame in the game. Seek help where possible. Awesome, Tommy. That is beautiful. I love that experience. So basically, what you said earlier is that you knew your husband beforehand. So yes, you basically answer the question of spending time together before children come. Is that somewhat of importance? You think you should spend time together before children?
So I would absolutely not take back those years that I spent without kids. I would absolutely not take it back. I still feel, and we still talk about it up until today, if I had gotten pregnant right after we got married, I don't think my marriage would have survived it. Had kids right after marriage, my marriage would not have survived it. We had that much time to talk to each other about what's wrong, what's right, because there are no kids involved. Even though that's a whole different story. I struggled with infertility for a little bit, and I struggled with infertility for a little bit with all the other craziness going on in the marriage. And now that I think about it, I'm like those nights of tears, of sadness, of just that ache and that longing for kids. I'm like, God, can I take those nights back without having to wake up and take care of my 10-month old, or have 3 hours of sleep, or recently my whole house, literally I have a 2-year-old and a 10-month old. My entire house had stuff everywhere, and I remember just looking around, and the only thing I felt like doing was selling the house and the kids in it. Like, do you want to buy a house with 2 kids? I have it. I have toys and diapers. If you need anything else, I can bring it to you. Because I just could not figure out where to start. Marriage would, your children would, they'll take time from you. They would take your, the love that that you were pouring on your husband. It would, the attention will be divided. And if your marriage is not well grounded, you would lose a good chunk of that. Make sure you value each other even way before kids start coming in, learning to say thank you for this, thank you for that. Make sure you date each other. You have a certain time of the day, of the weekday, that you go out. It doesn't have to be anywhere expensive, just to have time to yourself. Those during For a while, well, with COVID, everything changed. Once a week, I'll have some girls come sit with my kids for 4 hours once every week, so that I and him we can just go out and sit somewhere and talk or eat or go see something. Um, so take your time to invest in yourself and in your marriage. Make sure you can also provide for them financially. Make the decisions like, are you going to stay at home? Is it going to work? How long would you stay at home for? I tried the staying at home thing as a stay home mom, and I don't think I'm designed for that. Maybe if I have like crazy money coming in, I can do that. But I enjoyed being able to go to work and just have my own, like, the liberty to do whatever I want, because I don't have the kids there. I don't have to cook every day. I can just go to work and come back to and then cook. And if there's no food, we can order out. And I don't have to put all that pressure on my husband. So make decisions like that. Other ways to child-proof your marriage: also make sure that you are the chores in the house. Those things are really important. One of the things I wish I did in the very early beginning of my marriage was to make sure that the chores are divided up in maybe not even way, because if your husband is the only breadwinner and you're expecting him to come back home from his 9 or 10 or 12 hour shift to come help you out with our chores, when maybe you've only had 4 hours of work or something, that might not be even if you split the chores up 50-50. But if there's certain things in the house that he is solely responsible for, even if your work stand of 5 or 20 hours, those are things he can still like consistently do, and you can rely on him. So make sure before babies you have those things. Now I talked about dating. Make sure you try your best to pamper yourself. I take every chance and every opportunity I have to do that. And mine is really not doing anything extravagant. It's just to make sure I get my nails done, my toenails are done, and once in a while I do maybe fit massage or something. But that's one of my goals this year, to do a little bit of more investment on that hand as well. If you learn how to do that intentionally before kids come in, it makes it easier when kids come in to kind of maintain it. Make sure you figure out where the babies, like where the kids would be at. Are they going to be in the room with you? Are they going to be elsewhere? Because if you don't have conversations like this, or spend that kind of time together making bonding and unity decision. When the babies come, they really disrupt that. And because you don't have a foundation to build all those communication tools on top of, you might end up falling apart halfway. And that's why 1 in 4 women who had given birth, that's why they suffer from some kind of postpartum depression. And everyone has just a little bit of it during those initial. I struggle with that during just right after delivering my first one, because I wanted everything done perfectly, and I wanted this, I wanted that. But there are times you have to learn to ask for help. My first one, I wanted to do everything myself. But after a while, I learned that the only way to get it done is to ask for help. Just another last thing I would say regarding that question is, it is necessary for you to spend your time wisely, even way before the children comes in. Make sure you nail your time management. Make sure you know your time management. That's really important, because when the kids come, they would remember how I said marriage laid my flaws on the coffee table of my life. When kids come, all those things that you're not doing well enough, it would literally just magnify, and you'll be able to see you in a different light. And
Right.
it's okay to wake up sometimes feeling like you failed as a mom, or you're not doing it well. Trust me, we're all struggling one way or the other. But as long as we wake up every day knowing we're giving marriage our very best, or even ourselves our very best, we can always get better.
Awesome, awesome. You mentioned something about having that liberty, and I have a question about, do you still have your freedom, or is it that you schedule it to make sure that you have it, that now and then you spend time with your friends and just take a break, and you mentioned that, so that is so good. Um, how should one go about handling disagreements with their partner, Tommy? When it
Um,
comes to disagreements, how do they handle that? How do
so
you
when
handle it?
how do I handle it? So I can be passive aggressive sometimes. So you set me in the initial years of marriage, how I had always dealt with when I'm upset about somebody or about something is I would literally zone you out. Like, I'm mad at her. It's okay. You just go your separate ways, and I go mine. And that's it. And or I would limit my conversation with you. I was always like, I am upset, it's not resolvable, or I am really, really hurt. I just cut it short, and that's it. And I'll keep you at arm's length. But I did that. Those were the kind of things I was doing in the beginning of my marriage. And now you wonder why I struggled as much. I was doing all of that in the beginning of my marriage. And that's not, if I'm going to spend the rest of my life with somebody and I'm treating them that way because I'm upset at them, how would we make it through the next 10, 15, 20, 50 years? So I had to learn a different way. And I would recommend this topic is not something I just want to delve into lightly. I would recommend 2 books. I want you to go read. It's called Love and Respect by Dr. Etheridge, Emerson. Dr. Emerson. If you type that Love and Respect, it would show. He wrote another book, and it's called something something communication. I cannot remember, but if you type his name into Google, all these other books should pop up. I recommend that you read those 2 books about marriage, and how to communicate better in marriage. The best way to deal with conflict in marriage, one of my best advice is to stop. Just stop and think. Stop. And I just made a post on Instagram yesterday, or actually this morning, about 3 questions you should ask yourself before you get mad at your spouse. So those are things that you have to be able to process and think through, before you just let me aside from stopping and thinking, it would give you, I'm just going to talk about one tool, because I want you to go, like, whoever is listening to this, go do a little bit more research and figure out what works for you. Because a communication tool that works for me might not work for you. So you have to go read as much as you can to figure out one. But let me tell you what I do. I stop and I think. I don't want to stop and just be abrupt and give him the silent treatment for 5 million years. I want to stop and figure out, what did I do wrong? That's always my first question. If there is any ounce that I might have done or said anything wrong, I would magnify it and say, I am sorry for doing that. I don't say sorry when I am not sorry for something I have done. And that means that's not, be careful with that though, because some people hear that and they think, oh, it's just a prideful person and you don't say sorry. No. Even if there's a slight, just a tiny chance of me being wrong at anything, that and I know in my mind that I would be really sorry for that. And I would let you know, no matter how upset we are, that I am sorry for saying it that way. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have assumed that you did that or you did not do that. And then I cover, there are times that rather than even going off and being upset about it, I cover a good thing with something bad that he has done. A good thing is done recently with something bad. But again, I have to make a pause here and say, you're not comparing apples to oranges. Oh,
Right.
he cheated on me. Oh, he bought me panties. So I'm going to say he bought me panties. Oh, because he now that he cheated on me. Oh, it was nice to me yesterday and bought me panties. No, that does not cover anything. But I'm saying, oh, I spent the last 8 hours at night at work. I worked night shift. It took care of the kids while I was gone, even though he had only 5 hours of sleep and he had a long day. Um, he helped me out with the kids. But today he got back home and he was upset about something that was on the floor that was not picked up or something. I would not get mad about that because he had done something really good recently that it's not even worth it. I just closed that out and I literally told myself, devil, you would not play the CDs in my head. So you can, that's okay. That's gone. Then I move on to the next thing. Because if you really want your marriage to be sustainable, if you really want your marriage to last a long time, you have to figure out what works for you. And for me, doing things like that work. But there are times I tell people you have to choose your battle. If you stop and think well enough, you will be able to think about what battle to fight and the one to let go. That one battle that I decide and choose to fight, he will know he has done something wrong. Like nothing is covering this one. I know you're gonna get it. I will tell you exactly what you've done wrong, and I want you to fix it.
All right. Awesome.
If that
Awesome.
makes
Yes, that makes sense. And you touch on communication and compromise. How important it is to communicate and compromise in your relationship, Tom.
it is. It is very important to communicate and compromise. Make sure you're not compromising your values. Make sure you're not compromising things that are literally do or die affair. If your husband is into, this is just a very extreme case. Your husband is into drugs or alcohol, or at work is defrauding his company and stealing money and stuff. You're not going to compromise something like that. You would seek help and figure out the best way to handle a situation like that, because that's not something you want to compromise on. But compromise on a just manual level like this, on a regular level like this, might just be that example I gave recently. You helped with the kids, you're upset about something not being placed right downstairs. That's fine, we can definitely fix that. But you have to, in the beginning, I would not even say anything at all. I would just be so mad for weeks, and I wanted to read my mind. Like, you should get it. You should know why I'm upset, girl. Yeah, that really did not go anywhere.
Grow up.
They are they are not mind readers, and just like you're not a mind reader as well. They're not mind readers. You're not mind readers. So you have to make sure that you tell them what's wrong. I say that now. I'm going to get myself off the pedestal and now humbly tell you there are times that I just really, my stop process, I need to give it a couple of hours to think. And that might be silent treatment and not talking to him so I can figure out how to say what I'm feeling to him in a way that I would understand, to communicate my deepest and truest feeling without hurting his feeling or hurting mine. There are times it would hurt his feelings because maybe he did not mean it that way. But I just still say exactly what I'm thinking. I give myself time to process it. I talk to myself. I resolve it in my head and within me, and then I say it out.
Awesome. Awesome. And we're still on the communication issue. What are some of the languages we should be mindful of when speaking to our partner to prevent resentment?
So you never do da 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 da. You
Mm.
never do da 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 da. When was the last time da 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 da? Um, you, you're always doing da da da. It's and
Yes.
curse words, obviously. If you're so disrespectful to each other that when you get mad at yourself, you call yourself stupid, idiots, um, dumb, things like that, you would not think about it as a relationship with somebody you respect, or maybe your mentor. If your mentor gets on your nerves about something, would you call them those names? Why would you then call your husband names like that? I get it. You were, maybe you were friends before you finally got married, but you never do things like that. When you say you never do da 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 da, it literally negates everything they've ever done about that same thing. Like, oh, you never helped me with the kids. In your head right now, it might be it never da da da, but he helped you with the kids last week because that was when he could. Um, and also using the word you, replace you with hi. I feel like I am da 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 da, rather than saying you you made me feel da 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 da. No, it's not. You are responsible for your own feelings. That feeling is not your husband's. Your happiness is not your husband's responsibility. I know that's not a popular opinion, but my happiness, it's not based on what my husband do. It would influence it, but it's not based on it. I tell people never go to bed angry. It's not a good advice, especially if you take it on the surface level. Never go to bed angry has to start with you. Never go to bed angry, but it doesn't. Here, let me back up a little bit so that I can break that so I can break that down. In a relationship, there are times that the tension is so high that you might not be able to talk about everything that night, that moment, that second. We all should try for that, but in the perfect human world or imperfect human world, it's not always possible. So never go to bed angry is for you and not for your whole marriage. You remember how angry is for you. Okay? Never go to bed angry is for you. Remember how I said I pause, I process, I think what have I done wrong? What has he done wrong that I want him to apologize for? What has he done wrong that I have a way that he can do or say better next time so that this doesn't happen again? What have I done wrong that I can do better? And you're going to have all that conversation in your head and then present it. You, the two of you can go to bed mad at each other, but you don't go to bed angry with all of that in your head. Process it. Figure out, okay, so tomorrow we're going to have this conversation. I've thought about, I know exactly what I did wrong. I know da 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 da. Then go to bed at peace with yourself, so that when you wake up the next morning, you can talk to your husband with clarity of mind. If you're that kind of in the beginning as well, because I couldn't really have the words to actually say exactly how I would just cry like da, 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 and it sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't. I so now if I can't remember the last time I did it, but if I'm that upset or when I started moving out of that phase, I would write down exactly what I want to say and how I want to say it. So by the time I did not go to bed angry, I'd resolved it within myself. So the next morning, as a matured lady, I am going to present that the best way I can because I've had enough time to process it. So don't pressure yourself to never go to bed angry and then you say sorry for what you're not sorry for, or you place permanent decision on temporary issues. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of the Gorilla Glue lady. Have you heard about it?
No, I know the gorilla glue, but not the lady. Tell
Okay, so
me.
there's this new there's this viral thing going around. This lady from Louisiana, she ran out of hair glue, and then she glued upon it. She used the Gorilla Glue that should be used for hardware items. She sprayed it on her head and so the ponytail just stayed permanent. You should go Google it. It's just the Gorilla Glue lady. I know it's funny, but it's been a month and the hair is just there. It just sits there. So now she's starting medical help in order to help her. But see, at first it was funny, but afterward I'm like, wait, how would you get that out of your hair without losing your scarf?
All right.
She's getting medical help for that now after a month of wearing the same air. Like you really need to see a picture of it. But think about how she got to the decision of using hardware glue on her hair. She thought, oh, I finished using my normal Gorilla Glue air spray or air gel. I don't have enough time to go to the store to pick up something else. I don't have anything at home. So she just picked up the other Gorilla Glue that would make her hair permanent. And now it's been a month or two. She's everywhere on social media. Even CNN picked it up. Like it's everywhere now. Just for a decision she
She's
made.
viral, right? She wanted to
Exactly.
be up there.
Viral now.
There are
Exactly.
consequences for action, Tommy. There are
Exactly. But
consequences.
here though, I want you to think about it. She made a permanent decision based on a temporary issue.
Yep.
The issue was as temporary as using what you got. It's how important is it for your hair to look laid for that one day? The only time I would consider maybe spraying my hair with the permanent glue is if I am told to come talk to maybe I don't know present at an inauguration of the president of the United States or something, or maybe I have a meeting with Obama and I'm like, no, this is a do or die affair. My hair needs to look like this. But if it's just a regular day, how important it is. So in the same way, that's the frame mind I want you to have around communication and words that come out of your mouth. Are you placing a permanent solution on a temporary problem? Are you taking your time to think through the temporariness, if there's any word like that, of that situation, so that you're not just escalating from a 0 to 100 without thinking through? If she took her time to think through the process, I doubt if she would have ever made that decision to use a permanent glue.
Oh no, I doubt it too. Very good, Tommy. Perfect example. Tommy, how quickly can we get over anger with our spouse and so move on peacefully together?
You have to resolve it within yourself first. You also have to make sure evaluate the situation. Is it even worth a disagreement over it? Like is it worth it? Would it change anything? If you pick your battles well enough, that one battle that you would pick on that you want to fight at all costs, it will be so important to him. It would see it and it would literally just let you win, like literally, not just let you win, but it would see the importance of it and fix whatever it is that you're upset about because he knows you've let like minor things slide. Another there's no one size fit all for marriage. Again, you have to, if there are things that I have said that you're like, oh no, that's so wrong, I'm never going to do that, please don't do it. Because there are times I listen to expert as well in their words and I'm like, no, that does not sound right. I don't think that's something I want to do. Because social media had placed a label on everybody now. So you think what words that comes out of everybody's mouth is prophecy, it's perfection, I should do it. No, words coming out of my mouth are based on my experience, are based on the knowledge I have acquired over the years. So if it doesn't work for you, please don't take it. Go have a filter over what enters your head. Okay, I just had to say that. But in order to help you resolve anger quickly with your spouse, you have to be at peace with yourself first so that you can get to the point of resolving that situation with your spouse. There's no one size fit all to it. There's some disagreement that cannot be fixed in 2 seconds. There's some that cannot be fixed in a minute. There's some that you need to have like a whole, let's put the I made a post on my Instagram page, One Young Wife, recently, and I said, take the kids to bed and have that conversation. Take them to bed early and have that conversation. Even if you're not even taking them to bed for you to have the conversation, take them to bed so you have that extra 30 minutes or an hour to resolve things in your head before you go to bed as well. There's no one size fit all. You have to figure out what works for you.
Awesome. And as I said, don't say sorry unless you really mean it,
Yeah,
When you
don't do
say sorry,
that.
it is sure to mean it. That's something that I don't like. People just saying sorry because they think that is what you want to hear. So what I do, when you said sorry, tell me what is it you're sorry for? What is it you're apologizing for? So I can
Exactly.
say to really can connect what you're sorry, in terms of your action for. So I always ask them that. Tommy, can one change their partner if needs be? Some people go into a relationship thinking they can change people. And that is something I have an issue with, a major issue. What's your take on that?
So I would tell you, the only person that can change a person, if you believe in God, is God. You are not God. God is God, and you are not. You can influence them for a change. You can, just like I said, I influenced my husband when it comes to reading this good books, that he saw the progress in me. I was like, whatever you're eating, whatever you're reading, I want to read that too, because I want to be better. I want to be a better husband as well. You can influence them for a change, but you absolutely cannot change them. If they're a smoker now, and those are the last podcast I did, one of the questions was by uh, a single lady. And one of the questions she asked me, I can't even remember the question right now, but I remember my answer, and it was, "What are those things that you think are super cool right now, but 5 years from now?" But this questions to ask before you choose a partner or something, or things to consider. What are those things that you think is super cool right now, but if you have to deal with it for 5, 10, 15 years, it would be annoying? Think about it. If you entertain those things right now while you're dating, that's what you get your entire time in marriage. One of my biggest pet peeve is proud people. People that just want to talk to you and show off every time. They're constantly trying to show off something they've done, or what they are, what they buy. Like, I don't care. And I remember dating. I remember I didn't really date a lot. I dated one guy for 2 weeks when I was 15 or 14. Then I dated this one guy for 24 hours. And then I dated my husband, and then we got married, of course. But this other guy that did it for 24 hours, um, I had a lot to consider, but I'm like, maybe it would grow, maybe it would grow. But anyway, 24 hours was all it took. All he just wants to talk about is him, and who is done, how much he has, where he works. I'm like, oh, I don't want to spend the rest of my life listening to this. When you have a husband at home whose words, the words coming out of his mouth, just annoys the crap out of you, there's no way that marriage to work, because you would always respond with anger, with irritability, because you're just not feeling it. It just bugs the heck out of you. You cannot change him. You can influence him for a change. If you don't like smokers, if you don't like the smell of smoke, then you have no business getting married to somebody that smokes. Even if they smoke occasionally, if you know it would bother you, then don't do it, because that's something you have to deal with for years from now. Is that something you're willing to do? If their hobbies or interests that they're so like ingrained in gambling and all these things that it's nothing. When you see your future, when you see that big picture, that piece is not there. This does not mean you're going to get married to a perfect person. And this does not mean you will be perfect as well. But you're just setting yourself for a good foundation. I think I've answered that question, but I would end everything I've said with this. The initial years of your marriage, I don't know how houses are built in Jamaica, but I grew up in Nigeria, and I spent over a decade here in the U.S. But I know growing up, when they're about to build a house, they would dig up random spot in the house, and for the foundation they'll put like frames around it, just the base of the frame, or the frames the base of the frame, and then they pour cement, they pour sand, and then they pour cement over it to give it a strong foundation, and then they start building the frame in it. The initial years of your marriage, it's the sand. If you don't take your time, just imagine pouring cement over heaps of sand everywhere. That would not make a good house, right? Because it's not leveled out. Can you envision that? So if you the initial years of your marriage, if you don't take the time to level out your sand, so pour all the sand, all the ones you want, love, respect, friendship, adventure, whatever it is that you're pouring, if you don't take your time to level it out before pouring the cement, you would spend the rest of your life breaking through every lump in your foundation, because you did not take your time to level it out before pouring the cement on it. The cement makes them permanent. And in this world of always unfiltered social media, um, um, just always just social media, go, 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 go. My life is perfect. You need to see it. In this world of go, go, go social media, what you get to see is a cemented foundation. You don't get to really see the what's underneath. You don't get to really see how they've leveled it out. You don't get to really see the areas that they've not leveled out. So because you're so focused on, oh, let me finish my foundation, let me finish my foundation and pour the cement on it and start building the house, you don't get to see that. And because you don't get to see that, you're so not focused on the basics. Get your basics right. Before marriage, after marriage, do the work. Marriage will not just a beautiful marriage. There's a quote I found somewhere.
No, Tommy, you're answering the last question, the components of a good and happy marriage. You're answering it as well. Awesome.
Exactly. So this is exactly what this person said. Marriage is for pleasure and not for comfort. If you want a comfortable life, stay single. On the other hand, if you want the pleasure of having a meaningful relationship, get married. Just remember, this pleasure comes with a price. So when you start having bumpy rides in your marriage or relationship, don't be surprised at all. Expect it. Relationships are never easy, even in the best marriages. There will
All right.
always be things to work out, sacrifices must be made, changes that we each must undertake to accommodate a spouse. Remember, being married is literally like having a second job. You don't think you'll come home to your spouse and just kick your foot off and just lay in discomfort, in this vegetative comfort zone, and expect everything to be done to you. I wish life can offer you things like that on a pot of gold. I'm not saying you should not come into your home and feel comforted and feel at peace, but you should not just wait and receive all the love and want everything done to you without trying to roll off your sleeve and work on your relationship. You've got a good chance to successfully live out many of your marriage dreams. So work on it. That's all I have to say.
Awesome. And that's a wrap. Now I'm tired of my comfort zone. It's time for me to go and hunt my pleasure. Tommy, thank you so much. That's beautiful. But before you go, Tommy, for those who wish to be a part of your community and to follow you, how can they reach you?
So I am on Instagram and Facebook, and it's One Young Wife, OneYoungWife. One Young Wife. You can follow us. We post. I have a whole team that helps out on the back end as well. So we post daily tips and tricks. Trick sounds bad, but we post daily things that would help you navigate those initial years of your marriage. If you're 10, 20, 50 years in marriage as well, some of the tips might not apply to you anymore, but the same principles still apply. So you can follow if you want. But of course, I'm not 20, 15 years in marriage, so I might not be able to help you if you're struggling with something. For lack of a better word, my expertise is really to empower wives in the initial years of marriage, just to give them all the tools they need to navigate those initial years so that they can see this flourishing part that I get to wake up to every day. It's possible. You just have to do the work.
Awesome. Awesome. Well said. Powerful word. A lot of nuggets. Tommy, thank you so much for passing through. I'm so, I don't know what to tell you, revived right now, optimistic when it comes to relationship. And I'm looking forward to my pleasure soon. Like, honestly, thank you, Tommy.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Thank you. Thank you, Tommy. All right.
Have a great day. Thank you.
Remember, get your lifetime access so that you have access to all these recordings. It's available. It's right there. All right.